Hello. Hi. One, two, three. Testing. No, not listening. Let me see. Okay. Okay. Much better. Thank you. Much better. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So, well, uh, hello. Hi. Marcos Rodello here, and today we'll continue our project. We have made just the project preview so far, and today we're going to talk about the VBE setup. Okay, if you didn't follow the first video I have presented you with this project right here, this project here. Okay, this one, and I showed you that we have here a pivot table on the left. Here we have a slicer, a simple table here, only cells and values, no formula, no function, anything. And this table here we'll use to as a base for this chart down here. Okay, what's the deal? Once we press the button here on the slicer, it will trigger a macro. Okay, so I'll show you how to trigger different macros for each button. So when I click in Australia, it will execute one specific macro. When you click on Canada, it will trigger another macro, and so on. And we'll also check how to make this all happen, and with a single macro just passing the value as an argument. And as I click here, you can check that everything is refreshing. The pivot table, it is already expected to do so, but here we have the same behavior on a simple table on the right and here in the chart as well. And behind the scenes, we have multiple codes working. So we have variables, we have objects, we have if then else, we have loops, we have ADO library working on query here with SQL. And in this project, I will divide in small pieces of knowledge, small capsules of knowledge. So I even have built here using PowerPoint. First of all, let me bring me back to the scene and let me make this beautiful face a bit smaller. Yeah, get out of here. Yeah, on the corner. Stay there. Okay. And now I have built this small bridge here to show you all the steps that we're going to work on to make you capable to build this project. So what's my point here? I don't want to just build the tool, the project. I want to build knowledge in your head. That's my goal. So when you face in your projects, in your work, some situation like this, you won't have to watch this video again, because we together we will build the knowledge and it will be accessible for you. You're there, oh, it would be great to use the slicer to execute a macro. Okay, you will be able to do so without watching this video again. That's my goal here. That's why I separated in small blocks of knowledge to build together with you everything that you need to build this solution. In the end, we'll build the solution together, okay, step by step, but I want you to be capable of, not just get here and copy the code, okay? In the end, the ones that, the subscribers that want to do that will be able to do so, but that's not our goal. My point is to build knowledge, okay? So let's start. Today I brought here, let me close my project, and I brought here an example worksheet for us to work with. This worksheet here, yes, this worksheet here. And it's just an example, so don't mind about the codes that there are in here. It's just for us to visualize, because we're going to work with VBE setup. The VBE, it's the the environment that we program with VBA. That's just it. So when you press the shortcut Alt F11, you are already in VBE, Visual Basic Editor, okay? You can also get here using the developer tab. So if you want to activate it, you may go into, let me make it bigger for you. Yeah, that's right. So you can use the File tab. Here in the File tab, you may go to Options. In Options, you have Customize Ribbon, and you'll have the Developer tab here. I have just checked the flag here, and okay. So now we have the Developer tab, and through here you can also get there in VBE. Here, Visual Basic, the first group code, Visual Basic, you click and you're there. I prefer Alt F11, but that's with you. Okay, it may not be equal to what you're seeing in your screen right now because I have closed all the windows, the standard windows and another windows that I'm used to work. Because there will be some computers that you may face with this situation, and the thing is how can you access all the windows that you need to make it work, to work properly here on VBE. So first of all, you're going here on the menu and you will find the view menu. You click in the view menu and we'll bring first the project explorer window. Okay, you can use Ctrl R as a shortcut to activate it, and Project Explorer, I'll click it and here it is. Here is our Project Explorer. It's one of the most important windows besides the code sheet, because it shows you the objects that you have in your workbook right now. So my workbook is this one. It's showing here the name, Class 2 VBA with slicers and shenanigans. And I also have here the tabs, all my tabs, all my worksheets here, and it's right here as you see. Okay, all those tabs here. It will show also on my Project Explorer, and I have also a module here. This module. The module, it's not native, so when you open a new workbook, it won't have a module. There's just this module because I already have some code in this worksheet. You may have your code in modules, you may have your code in the sheets. If I double click here in companies, for example, double click, and I have my a white place here, my sheet of code, so you can build your codes right here using the sheet objects and also the events. Okay, usually you won't use here, you may use inside of the worksheets to some specific project specific things when you work only with objects of that worksheet, but mainly with worksheet events. In this project, we will work with some events of the worksheet in the class to come, okay? But not today. I'll close this thing and I'm going right here in the module. Double click here, module 1, and we have a few codes that I have built for this project that it's not really relevant for us right now. What matter is for us to know how to work with those windows. Another important window here is the properties window, and we will activate it here on view menu, and we have it here, properties window. You can use the F4 shortcut to make it available to you. I'll click here, properties window, and here it is. Here we got the properties window. Well, it will show you the properties of the object that you're working. It's something more used for the ones that are building projects using user form. For example, user form is this guy here. When you insert here a module, you can also insert a user form. And when you work with user form, you have to work with lots of properties, okay? But if you're not using user forms, we won't use a lot of this window. But working with sheets, it's also important to know these properties, because when you select a worksheet, you have the name properties, the display page breaks, display right to left, enable auto filter, for example, you may disable it, enable calculation, and another kinds of properties that you can disable or enable through here and without the user interfering with it. A specific resource that I think it's very, very, very valuable here, it's when you want to hide a tab, because usually you can get a tab like this, the tab customers, for example. You can click the right button here, and you have the option of hide the tab. Okay, you can hide the tab. Okay, it's hidden, and now I click again with the right button and I can unhide. Okay, so far, no big deal. I believe all of you know how this works. But here, Alt F11, on my properties, if I get customers, and here in my properties window, I come here on visible, sheet visible, I have sheet hidden. That is, it's exactly what we just did. And I have also the sheet very hidden. And when I click in this option, sheet very hidden, look, it is completely hidden, the customer tab. And when I click with the right button, the unhide is unavailable. Okay, so for the user that don't know the workbook structure, it will just think, oh, there's nothing to unhide here. There's no other tab, just the one that I'm seeing. If the user doesn't have any knowledge about VBA or VBE. Okay, so it's a way that you have to hide some data, some worksheet in this sheet very hidden. Okay, I'm going to show again. So customers, I'm back here and I'll click the sheet visible, and it's everything in the right place again. Okay, let's continue with our VBE setup. Once this is said, there are two more windows that I find really amazing that we're not going to use it right now, but we will use them on the next class. That are those windows here. You come here on the menu, view menu, and we'll use immediate window. Immediate window. I'll click on this one. Immediate window. It will show right here. And the other one is the view menu and also the locals window. Locals window, I'll click here and it's right here. So this both windows, it will be very, very useful when working with variables, okay? So it's good for you to keep it here. If they are making things hard for you, just put them right down here. Or you may close and bring them again on the next class. It's up to you. Okay, our code. You will check that these codes here, I'm using indentation, okay? The tab. So when I click in any row here of my code and I press tab, I can use the indentation. It's not something mandatory. It's not something that you have to do, but it makes your code much more readable. Okay, it's much better for your eyes to contemplate your code just like that. And if you need, for example, to make it in a lot of rows, for one, you can, for example, I'll select all these rows here and I want to apply some tab here. So now I'll just press the tab button and it will go. A lot of tabs, it's up to you. And if it is too much, you want to bring that back, you may use the Shift Tab keys and you can put them back where they were or where you want them to be. It's perfectly good. For now, here I have a code that I'm using the ADO library, and I have a macro called db connect and another called db disconnect. And I have used the indentation here just to show that what is happening between the connection and this disconnection. Okay, that's what's showing here. And you will also work with hierarchy. So when you start, if the else block or for next block like this, everything that is inside the for next between these two rows will have this space here. And when I'm saying this, it's not a space, it's a tab, it's indentation. You can check it better right here up above where you have the line number and the column number. So right now I on the 9th column, okay? And if you start to go to left, it will keep changing the column, and also on the vertical you have the rows, the line changing here. So it's a way that you have to locate yourself inside of your codes, okay? Well, right here, it's a standard setup that I'm using. I have just installed my Microsoft Excel, and it is the standard font and the colors, all standard. So we're going to make it a bit different, because for the ones that are starting right now using VBA, it's pretty hard to say if a word like this, for example, if this is a variable, if this is a property, if this is a function, okay? I know that this is a subroutine. Why? How do I know it? Because there is this call here on the left. That's the only reason why I know. Because if there was nothing here and it works, if I don't have my call keyword here, it will work normal. It's pretty hard for the ones that don't know it. What is this word? So when you're starting to work with VBA, there's a lot of commands that you don't know. There's a lot of functions, lots of properties, methods that you don't know. So if you don't have something to make it different in the visualization here, it makes the things even harder. So to make it easier, I'm going here on Tools, Tools menu, and Options. I just clicked on Options, and the first thing that I'm doing here to make it easier for you to see what I'm doing, I'll make this font a bit bigger. I know that I'm using this thing up here to make it bigger, but it may feels a bit confusing sometimes, so I'll make the font even bigger. So in the Editor Format tab, I'll use the size of 20, 2, okay. And now we're talking. This is okay. There's no doubt here. You can see very much better now. And now let's talk about the colors. First, we'll talk about the normal text. I have normal text here in this code, but it's the same colors as the variables, as the worksheet, as the range. So I want to make it different. Let's go there, Tools menu. I just clicked in here, Options, and we'll go in on Editor Format, Normal Text, right here, Normal Text. Our foreground, is showing here the way that it's appearing, and I want to change it for a gray, light gray like that. And if you want a darker gray or a lighter gray, it's up to your own blindness, okay? If I use it too light, I don't see it very well, but this color, I think it's a good color to make it very different and make it clear for you to analyze your code. So let's just check how that's going to present itself. Okay, look at that. Look at that. A single change that we done here, and it have improved a lot our visualization, because now all the normal text that it's between those signs here, it is very clear for me where are them on my code? And I know they are not variables. I know they're not properties. I know they're not objects, okay? In this case, this is just a query, okay? It makes an indentation here, actually a concatenation here to make it all together, bring it all together, and then execute it later. Also here inside my range, I have also some normal text, and here also normal text. So it's much clearer for me right now. Another thing that it's good for you to change is the keyword, because it's possible to identify that the sub is different color than the name of my subroutine, but it's not so different. There's just a subtle difference in the color. So I want to make it more clear to differentiate those two. So here on Tools menu, we'll go in Options. Here in Option, we'll find the keyword text, this guy here, keyword text. You will see that it's using a very dark blue. So I'm going to click it, and we're going to a much lighter blue. Not much, but a bit lighter blue. And our code will be beautiful right now. Okay, that's it. You see, now you can identify the sub, the call, the set, the for, the next, the to, the end sub. Okay, it's much easier to do it that way. Marcus, you just said that we didn't need this call here to execute the macro db connect that is right up here, this db connect here. Why I don't need them? You don't need. If you just delete it and leave it like that, it will work. If this works, why am I using the call keyword? Let me give you an example. Imagine that you have a code with 100 lines, for example, 100 rows, and you want to find in this code where you have where you call another subroutines along this code. If I don't use the call, if I remove the call here, how can I identify it? It's pretty hard to do it because there's no keyword for me to look for. But if I use the call, if I'm using here the call keyword, we can use a Control F to find, and I may put here call, and in the current module I want to find all the calls that are. So find next. Here he found just a call, find another. So it's pretty much easier for you to locate where is it happening if you use the keyword, the proper keyword, okay? So that's a very good example about it. Okay, so we have all our windows, we have changed the color, and there's something very important that I want to make an example here for you to test it in your own VBE. That is this situation as follows. Imagine I'm starting here an if block, okay? An if block. So just if space, and I want to use the name of a variable. Let's think about this str SQL, okay? For example. Okay, I don't want to have to write it here to, no, I'll just copy and paste it. So, okay, I'll get out of my if, I'll click here and copy this. I have clicked, and right now, look what happens. There's this pop-up window, Microsoft Visual Basic for Applications, compile error, expected expression. Because I didn't give any expression here on the if block. But I'm going to do it. I was just copying the name of the variable, that's all. There's no need to punish me like that. So, okay, then I can come here and copy and then paste the information that I want. Okay, you got the message. So when you're starting to use VBA, these pop-up things may seem natural to make you don't abandon your if here. But I don't see a point once that it will not execute If you leave this if here just like that, your code won't be able to execute. Okay, so you there's no need. It's red. I see that the if it's red. So okay, I know that there's something for me to do. There's no need for the pop-up. So we can cure this thing. I'm going to delete my if. We're going right here on Tools menu. We're going in Options, and we'll find in the Editor tab this Auto Syntax Check. Auto Syntax Check. You see, this is something very personal. If you like those pop-ups, no big deal. You leave them there. Okay, I don't feel good with them. It's always I know about my code. I know what's happening there. It won't execute with a syntax error. So come on, just let me do my copy and paste thing in peace. So I'll just disable it, and I'll click OK now, and look the difference. Now I can start an if block space, and if I have to copy a variable name, something like that, I may click in here. You see, there was no pop-up. I can copy, I can bring that back. It will keep red. You see, it keeps red. It won't execute. But there is no need for that pop-up. Okay, it won't show the pop-up. And if I try to execute this, so I'm going here, F5, it won't. So, okay, I don't need that pop-up. It will show some error in some moment, okay? Good. So now we have seen how to work with the colors, how to work with this syntax checking. It's also good for you to know that you can execute your macro using this button right here that triggered the macro, okay, F5. You can trigger your macro right here on VBE, okay? On the worksheet, you can trigger in multiple ways. Right here, you can use the F5 shortcut. You just press F5 and it's good, it will execute. And you can also work with F8, okay? The F8 shortcut makes you able to execute row by row, each line, and you can check everything that is happening on your code. But let's suppose you're going to execute your macro and you're not inside a subroutine. Right now, I'm clicking inside this subroutine right here. If I click here outside, I'm no subroutine right now, and I just press F5. Look what's happened. What happens? F5. Why is showing this window? Because the VBE doesn't know which macro you want to execute. I was here between an end sub and a sub. So it doesn't know. What are you trying to execute? So it shows this window with all subroutines that I have. And okay, make up your mind and just run the code that you want. Or if you don't want, okay, cancel it. No big deal. Okay, so be careful about it. There's no problem about showing this window, but if showed, it's that you didn't have your cursor in the right point. Okay, once this is done, you can execute your code using F8, as I just said. So if I press here F8, it will execute row by row. So right now it has just executed this line, sub load inner join. No, it has not. Okay. What is in yellow? It's the line that it will be executed. Okay. So F8 again. Right now, it didn't execute the DB connect. It is showing that it's the next row that will be executed. So F8 again, and we're here. DB connect, F8, 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 and so on. But I'll stop right here. Let's think. If you have a subroutine with 200 lines, for example, you won't have time to, let's say you have an error occurring around 150 line, and you have to go there with F8. No, you won't do that. Let me just stop here on this reset button. I'll stop my execution, and if that's the case, you use an interruption point here. You just click right here in this gray area, okay? Or you may use also the F9 shortcut to insert this breakpoint. So I just have clicked, and now I want to execute until this row. When it reaches this row, it will stop executing. So now I may use F5. Okay, it just have stopped. I have not, it has not executed this line yet. Okay, so it's a way that you have to do it. But let's say that you're trying to do it in multiple rows. I want to check what's happening here, and then here, and then here. And you go with F5. You may do this checking, but if you're thinking, let's say you're going for a lunch right now, and you save your file, and you close it all, and when you come back, you want to work with the same breakpoints here. You won't be able to do so because it will just disappear. Once you save your file, let me reset this. Once you save your file and close it, it won't stay here. If that's the case, you may use the stop keyword here, stop, and stop will be saved. If you save your file, it will stay here, and it's mainly the same behavior as the breakpoint, the interruption point. I'll press just F5 and we're good. Okay, it will stop right here for you to analyze your variables and check what's going wrong with your code. So that said, I believe now we have everything we need to be able to keep focusing on our project. So that was the second class of the sequence of classes we're going to make to build this slicer project, how to execute a macro with slicer. In the next class, we're going to talk about objects, okay? Because, no, not objects. We'll talk about variables, because here we set the VBE properly, and we'll talk about variables. So if you're starting right now with VBA, you don't know what is variable about, why it's something that brings some difficulties for the ones that are starting right now. Because if you're a user that is used to work with the record macro, for example, if you use this resource here, this tool, no problem, you can use, okay? I have used a lot back there many years ago, but you are used to select many things on your workbook. Because that's the way that recording works. You have to select everything. You have to select the chart, you have to select the cells, you have to select the workbook, select the tab. That's how it works. So mainly, if you have to store some value, you will store this value inside a cell. That's what your logic tells you to do. So when you start working with variables, we'll stop working with your cells, because it's much more efficient. It's how programming works. Imagine the professionals that works with Python, with C#, even with database, with SQL, they don't have a cell to insert the values that they want. So they have variables to do it. And you also, little by little, slowly you will start to migrate from cells to variables. It will improve a lot your coding when you do it. Okay, that's why we are going to talk about in a specific class about variables. Okay, so if you're not a subscriber here, if you're new here in our channel, my name is Marcos Rodello, and hit the button subscribe there. Come to be part of our channel. We're giving a lot of information here because it's a pleasure. I really like to do so. I know that you're going to find sometimes there's some error, some different, strange things about my English, because it's something that I'm building here. I'm trying to learn as well, in search for some also international opportunities of work, but there are knowledge to share, and I'm sharing this with you. I like teaching. I teach more around, now it's something about 15 years already, teaching Excel, teaching VBA, teaching SQL, and I'm bringing this to you as a way of sharing this knowledge. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, if I helped you somehow, so just click the like button there to help our channel to grow, and I'm expecting you here on our next class. Thank you very much. See you there.